Let's see what we've got here. I think the first part's pretty boring, but it gets interesting. Well, I guess there's an interesting bit in the middle. It's real interesting at the end. Oh, you can't see my face? Screw that. I missed it. You don't need to see my face. So still dealing with a little knee cave, even though this is somewhat light. I mean, I guess it's not super light. Also, my head started coming up on the last couple of sets. So right about there, I realized I was doing it, so I put my head back down as I came up. But other than that, nothing special. I, for some reason, uploaded everything, because why not? Still a little bit of knee cave, but I don't think there was quite as much as in the first set, which is hopefully the case since this is, 20 pounds lighter. But there's still some. It's just the thing I do. And then 162, that's not right. There we go. So I had a slightly narrower stance here. And it is, I think, causing my knees to come in more. So perhaps one solution is for me to maintain a wider stance. Because your feet should be about shoulder width apart. And I think those might have been, well, I don't know. I've been doing a wider than normal stance recently. So I guess on this case, I was doing kind of a more traditional stance. I don't really know if it made things better or worse. Other than I think I kind of like the wider stance, maybe. Then again, if my knees are caving and my feet are out wide, then maybe that's a problem. Just putting unusual forces on my knees. Also, I think the inside of my left foot might have started coming up on this one, which I don't think was the case in the previous lifts. 4 minutes. All right, no time to think about it. Move on to the next one. So then, wrong one. It's gonna play. Okay, good. So these were interesting. These were some of the heaviest presses I've ever done. Not the heaviest I've ever attempted, but when I was training on my own before I signed up for online coaching, I managed to get up to 130 pounds and not beyond that for 3 reps. So this is not technically a PR, it's just where I was the last time. And as you can see, they leave some things to be desired. The bar was pretty far away from my face. I had a hard time getting it closer to my head. And I don't know. It's under really heavy weight. I find myself kind of naturally doing almost like an incline bench press more than an overhead press. Although that one was pretty good right there. But definitely, as the reps continue, I find myself leaning back more for a longer period of time, like that. I did manage to get under it. I just think I'm guessing it would be good to get under it earlier. The other thing of note here is that I had, after the first rep on both of those sets, my head was a bit tingly. You might remember I've had some issues with a possible vasovagal syncope, which has caused a drop in blood pressure and in a couple of cases led to passing out, actually, a few cases. And that is most prevalent on the overhead press. So this is what I am, so the reason why I never made it past 130 was because when I tried 132.5, I didn't get it up all the way. I got it up about halfway before I started feeling really bad. So I re-racked it, and then I immediately lost consciousness and fell back and slammed the back of my head against the floor and gave myself a concussion. So I'm keeping an eye on that for reasons that are probably self-evident. Maybe at the end, after I review everything, I can talk more about it. So 117.5. This one was, this was a lot easier because it was lighter, and I think I did a better job of getting my head under it faster. I see, even brushing the tip of my hair, at least on the first few reps. Looks like I might have had a little bit of trouble on that one, and definitely had some trouble there. But hey, when I was on my own, 117.5 was my 5-rep max PR. So I didn't beat it this time, but next time I repeat this, I'm going to be hitting the 3-rep max PR and a 5-rep max PR, assuming that we maintain the same pattern, just adding 2.5 pounds. And then the deadlift. So nothing really unusual here, I think. So that was all well and good, I think. Definitely working to keep the weight centered over the midfoot instead of my heels. My grip started slipping here, however, so I wasn't really, I would have held it for just a split second longer and maybe even gotten it just a fraction of an inch higher, because I don't feel like my back was fully stretched out in that last rep. And of course, I did have a little bit of rounding in the lower back, because that's what happens after the first rep. Fatigue starts to set in, and it's really hard for me to get that full back extension. But yeah, so my grip just, it wasn't confident, it wasn't secure, and consequently, I don't think that last rep was as good as it could have been. And then it was 9 o'clock and the gym was closing, and I asked very nicely if I could squeeze in one more set. And this time I was going to use straps, but because I was in a rush, I forgot to put my belt on. You can see it there on the floor back there. So the voices are the people shutting down the weight room. And I did my part to clean up while I was in my rest period, so I felt like I had earned the right to stay there an extra couple of minutes. So nice setup, got it off the floor faster than I did on the first rep, and it was somewhere around there that I realized I wasn't wearing my belt. And I'm like, wow, this is harder than it should be. And as a consequence, I lost all confidence on the second rep, and which is why my back was super rounded there. But then on the, forgot my belt. But then on the third rep, I knew my back was rounded, and I didn't want to let that happen. So I think I got enough time to watch this one again. And the straps made it a lot easier. I don't think I could have done this without the straps, because not only would I not be wearing a belt, my grip would be, the thing would be